Shalom Israel, first and foremost, I give all praises, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem HaKadosh, the born to the apostles, and else great millstone for teaching us his truth, peace, and blessings to the help like Israel. Yahweh is the name of the finally Hebrew, by Hashem is the name, and Yahweh Shai is the name of the begotten Son. Background lesson, and today going to be going to this dream that I had dealing with this destruction. And really one of the main points I do want to be pushing throughout the lesson is, 2nd Peter 3 and 10, how Lord's going to be thief in the night, unexpected to those that are not watching, those that are not paying attention, those that are not preparing for Lord Yahweh Shai's return. It doesn't come as a surprise, unexpected unto you. This is why it's important to, measure the times we're in, as you can 2 9 and 1. Measure all the time diligently in itself, because we are quite literally, nearing the end of this place. And this is also another thing that the Lord would do in these last days, was pour His Spirit upon all flesh. Is why you have people receiving dreams and visions in the night of this coming destruction, of our Lord Yahweh Shai's return, of the things to come. Especially people of the other nations receiving dreams and visions. The Lord pouring His Spirit upon all flesh. That's why He said you have these people when you're receiving these visions and dreams of the end. But it's going to be a somewhat quick lesson, testimony of this dream that I had, and I'm going to piece it together to the best of my ability. I should have, wrote down it to some notes as soon as I woke up from that dream. But I remember, the key point dealing with these missiles being, launched. And also people pretty much being ignorant, to that fact. Not taking heed and were unaware as to what was happening. So those are the key points that I remember within the dream. Because I remember waking up and just recalling certain points, and I was tying scriptures together, and I went back to sleep. Should have wrote it down in my notes, but do have a couple things that I wrote down that I remembered, key points that I recalled. This is people weren't paying attention or taking it serious. And just start off with that dream, just from what I recalled in the beginning of it, there were chariots, pretty much hovering around. And one particular chariot I remember seeing was a green chariot. It was like a green light just going throughout the sky. And I was trying to see in the dream if it was a chariot or not, because over here in my area there's a lot of planes that go by that will blink white, red and white and all that type of stuff. So that dream, I guess I was trying to see if it was a chariot or not, because I believe there's also a few other ones that were hovering around too. But I'll come back to that, because I believe one of the points that I tied together was these chariots had a role in tampering with these missiles that are about to be launched, because this the missile system was pretty much appeared to be failing from when it was launching. So when these actually, just to go back to that point, as these chariots were pretty much going around, you had this alarm start sounding. And so I just searched up and said I put war alarm, because before I was making the lesson I was trying to think of this particular alarm that was sounding in my dream, just to further establish the time frame as to what is happening, what time frame that this dream is taking place in, because you have particular alarms that will sound for certain things. So I searched up war alarm, and this is the exact alarm that took place in the dream. So this was the exact alarm that started sounding out within the dream. And in that dream I was looking out the window, seeing these chariots, and then you had this alarm start sounding, and then you had these missiles pretty much start to emerge from where it was being launched at, which is pretty much really close by to where I was looking. You see, all right, missiles, start launching. And as I was making that point, when I was speaking of these chariots, they had a role in pretty much messing with this missile system. You had these missiles that were launched and pretty much started landing, super close. And started, hitting these houses that were, close by. Because usually when you see within movies or even in real life, when these missiles are shot, they shoot up to the sky and go however far. But in this dream, you get these missiles pretty much launching, and then they start pretty much falling short. Landing close by. And looking like it was gonna go near me. Because that dream, you know how the flesh gets a little jumpy, especially seeing that this alarm and the missiles being shot. But I still remained faithful. I was calling upon Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And also I want to say I pieced together is these chariots, defended me, from these, missiles. But I know these, chariots, most definitely played a role, within this dream. Because you had these, missiles that were landing close by. I want to say it flew over the house, if I'm correct. I'm wasn't trying to recall these points to the best of my ability. They were landing close by, it's the point, but they didn't, hit near me. So, Baruch Ba'ashem Shai for that. And what we hope and pray that we're of that hopeful, that we're defended, that we are, delivered from these coming times, man, because we do not want to partake in this, coming destruction and judgment that is to come. But that main point is done with these missiles were being launched, and wasn't just further establishing that point of the time frame that this is in. So this is a nuclear alarm siren. So those were nukes that were that were being launched. Now, like I said, I want to say they're landing close by. So either it was some type of a missile was being launched is the point. I do have some notes written down. It's like if I'm kind of different point, but which one? Tying this together best might be. Like I said, I should have wrote these notes down a long time ago. As soon as I woke up from that dream, which is usually what I do. But it says people weren't paying attention or taking it serious, and once this was happening, or after it transpired, so I'm guessing it wasn't particularly a nuke. Because like I said, they were landing close by, so if they were obviously were nukes, and the whole place would be, vaporized. But like I said, I believe in that dream I was, protected, obviously through Spin Pretty Ba'ashem Shai, but also those chariots, playing a role in that. Those angels. Because missiles were launching, landing close, and flying over. But while that was happening, I was calling upon Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai, praying to the Lord, having faith in the midst of that chaos. That's scary stuff right there. You don't want to be caught up in the midst of that. Like, we fear Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai over here, man. But it says chariots tampering with the missile system, and this was my I want to say guess, but kind of tying points together in that dream. Cause I want to say these chariots played a role. Like I said, they were hovering around, going around, and you had this launch system happen to take place, and you had those missiles being launched, and like I said, they weren't going very far. That's the point I was making. And it says was protected and called on the name Yahweh or Yahweh Shai. Like I said, I was calling upon the names Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai throughout that dream. But like I said, after those missiles were launched and ran downstairs, and you had people that were unaware as to what just transpired and what was taking place. And I said, there's literally missiles being launched. And they're like, no, it ain't. Oh, what are you talking about? That didn't happen. But like, pretty much, what are you talking about? Then they search up on their phone, look in the news. Oklahoma missiles shot, or something like that, in the dream. Cause I'm over here, in Oklahoma. They looked up in the news, and there was in fact, missiles being, shot. Then you also had this comedian that's randomly appeared. You know how dreams are. People will appear, or you'll just be in a different place. In the dream, when you were just in one place. But in that dream, this comedian Gabriel Iglesias, which is a Issacharite, comedian, actor, and he was mocking, he was scoffing. And you had people that still weren't taking these things seriously, that were still ignorant to the things that were transpiring, to what was getting ready to take place. Because I think this was, at the very least, the beginning stages of, World War III. Like I said, that alarm was literally the alarm that sounded. So I thought, looking up that specific, alarm that was sounding in the dream would put the time frame as to, what this dream was, taking place and what type of, time it was. Like I said, that was a nuclear, siren. Like I said, that was, going throughout, the air. There's a protected call named Yahweh El Shai, said people mocking and scoffing. And that's why I was wanting to make that point earlier, dealing with 2 Peter 3:10. How Lord was a thief in the night, unexpected. So you had the people that still were, unaware, in this dream, that were, not pretty much taking these things serious. Pretty much, thinking that nothing's gonna, come from this. That's it, But this is, that's it right there. And like I said, I should have, better wrote those notes just to better articulate myself. Aside from kind of, piecing things, together. But Lord's will, I'm still getting the point across. But it's Acts 2:17, and it says, "And shall come to pass in the last days, saith the Most High, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams." So you have the Lord quite literally pouring his spirit upon all flesh. So you have people receiving dreams and your visions in the night of this coming time, of this destruction, of the chariots, of the, of our Lord Yahweh Shai's return. Of these various things that are getting ready to transpire and take place. You have various spells that will have, visions on a, pretty much a common occurrence, of what's getting ready to unfold and take place. But like I said, I'm trying to piece together this dream, the best of my ability. So it's like it was kind of, I won't say misplaced, but not articulated well. But the main point in that dream was those missiles, being launched, and people were still pretty much, not privy to what was happening, unaware, and we're just, clueless, really. As you're gonna have people in these last days be, clueless, be, blind to these things until it's literally right in their face, Because Isaiah 31:5 says, "As birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem." So like I said, I want to say these chariots, played a role into, what was, taking place, as well as, pretty much defending and, protecting me from what was, taking place. And not to say that in, pride or anything. Like, so we hope and pray that we are of that hopeful, that we are those meant to be defended, to be, kept, to be delivered from this, coming destruction. But as birds flying, so the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem, defending also he will deliver it, and passing over it, he will preserve it. because I believe I want to make a point. I came to the conclusion that those were chariots, in the dream, especially that green chariot that was going around. So they most definitely played a role, but so much in life from not articulated it very well. 2 Peter 3:10, it says, "But the day of the Lord comes a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise," which are going to these explosions from these missiles, "and the elements shall melt with fervent heat, the earth also and the works therein shall be burned up." So great destruction is getting ready to befall this place, and it will be by the way of thermonuclear missiles. This is the destruction that's getting ready to befall this place. The Revelation is 16:15. Further at that point, "Behold, I come as a thief." Once again, unexpected. People are going to be, caught by surprise, unaware. And that's one of the main points that you got throughout that dream. So, "Behold, I come as a thief in the night," or it's like, "Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watches and keeps his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame." Let's see, Luke, "Look, I will come as unexpectedly as a thief. Blessed are all who are watching for me, who keep their clothing ready so they will not have to walk around naked and ashamed." So many of our people are going to be unprepared. Matthew 4:37-39, "But as the days no worse, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." Say, we're in those times. As in the days of Noah, and you see many of our people are walking that same exact spirit. "For as in days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark. So they went on about the day, giving the shrug of the shoulder, not taking heed to the warnings, not having a care in the world as to what's getting ready to take place, as to what the Lord was getting ready to do." As many of our people are in that same spirit. "Whereas you're not, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." So it was the first death, which was by the way of water, going to that great flood, but this time it's going to be by the way of fire, and specifically thermonuclear fire. This is the destruction that's getting ready to be, unleashed, upon this place. But that's the point right there. Like I said, I should have, wrote down those notes as soon as I woke up from that dream, just to recall it better. So Slackerville was kind of not articulating well, trying to recall these points to the best of my ability. The main point is done with those missiles being launched, as well as that alarm that I just looked up, further pointing out the time frame of that dream as to what was happening. So that was a nuclear alarm going off. So a destruction is getting ready to befall this place. That's why it's important to take heed, repent, because you don't want to be on that receiving of these judgments. You're not going to be part of that number that's left behind, that's caught up in this destruction once again. That's it right there, Lord. So let's try to find it goes out. Give all praise, honor, and glory to Al Bashim Ashab Bashim Kakadash and